Welcome to Glazed Over,
a podcast for business tips, painting tricks, and gabbing with friends.
We're your hosts, Amy Williams
and Crista Toler, and we're so glad you're here.
Okay.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Amy. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How was your week?
It's been a blur. I am deep in Christmas production, so I don't have a traditional studio like y'all do. So I am selling finished wear and things like that. So I've been pretty hard into Christmas for the last few weeks, and it's been a lot. What about you? How's your week been?
I have to tell you, I had the most amazing experience. I did a birthday party for a dog at my studio. I mean,
That's amazing.
I didn't even know that was on my list of things that I needed, but it was amazing. And there was a golden retriever running around, and it was just everything else. I'm done. I'm tapped. This is amazing.
Wow. Did they do paw prints?
They did one of those canvases where you put down paint, and then they licked off the peanut butter, and it looked amazing. But honestly, it was just the dog was loving that it was running around and getting treats from everyone, and everybody was so excited seeing it. So that was my highlight.
Wow. Well, I didn't know that I needed to attend a dog birthday, but I think I do.
It was amazing. It was life-changing for sure.
Nice. Well, I think this episode's also going to be life-changing. No,
absolutely.
No big deal. We have one of my favorite people of all time here, Crista Toler. If you'd like to kind of tell us about who Crista is. I'm pretending like I don't know her. How embarrassing.
Yes. Well, Crista is the studio market manager for Mayco, and just a guru of all the amazing things. And we are here to talk about the article that Crista has gave us all the insights. So welcome, Crista.
Hi, thank you.
Crista, have you ever been to a dog birthday party at a paint your own pottery shop?
I've not been to one of the paint your own pottery shop, but I've been to a dog birthday party.
Wow, I'm lacking.
Yeah. I worked for an event production company back in the old days, and this was part of that. It was really fun. They all had little bandanas on, and it was for a local dog bakery.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, but I love this idea. I mean, that's a whole new avenue for studios. Go for it, Christine.
It was amazing because we posted a picture because, like I said, it was a highlight, and everyone's like, can I have my dog's birthday there? And I'm like, yes, all of the dogs. Yes.
Yeah, that's so smart.
It's going to cost a lot more. Yes.
I've seen everyone doing goat yoga, or not necessarily goat yoga at the studio, but bringing goats in and pets and things like that. I never even thought to just make it simpler and just bring your own dog in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Well, you touched a little bit on your past, your pre-PYOP. So why don't you tell us a little bit about if you want to talk about what you did before PYOP to get into the industry, or just how long you've been here, what you've been doing, just give us the rundown of Crista.
All right. So I worked for an event production company in the mid-90s and loved it. It was a really unique thing back at the time. My boss was really a pioneer. She's done so many amazing things since then. But we did a company outing, and it was a paint your own pottery studio. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to open one of these. I'm so tired of working for her. I want to be my own boss, and I want to move back to the beach. So we looked into it and opened up a studio in Wilmington, North Carolina, and lived at Wrightsville Beach and loved it. And about 7 years later, we decided it was time to come back to the Charlotte area to be near our parents that were getting older. So we did that. I worked with Bisque Imports for almost 10 years, and then needed a different kind of schedule. And so I moved over to Mayco, which has been great. And now I get to work with both BI and Mayco. So
yeah. How long have you been at Mayco?
10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's time.
And that's crazy because you're only 25, right? So
I don't know how I've done it to be so young. Amy is my favorite person.
I know how to bribe.
Yeah, that's right. But it's been really fun. I feel like I've gotten to use a lot of things I've learned over the years, the events, business owner, paint your own pottery owner, bisque supplier, glaze manufacturer. You know, I keep teasing the kiln guys. That's my next job, but
I would love to see you do that. Just popping out of the kiln.
I think I'm really good here at glaze. I love where I am. I love my job.
Awesome. I also actually started into the PYOP because I went to one in Ohio and I had an amazing experience, and there was nobody around this area. And I started with the canvases and I kind of led into the ceramics. So I understand that love of, hey, I want to bring that too. So it's exciting.
Cool.
What's your favorite part about the industry, Crista?
I think the connections and the people. As a studio owner, my favorite days were when like just my favorite people came in and I'd sit down and actually paint with them. I actually would paint in my studio with people and getting to know them. And then the same thing in the industry now, like as a supplier, I love getting together at big events, small events, and just getting to know the people, because I think that makes all the difference. There's a human connection.
I agree. And I think people want to buy from people that they like and, feel safe and comfortable with. And I think that's definitely you.
Thanks. I 100% feel that way. That's relationships make all the difference.
Yeah. Well, we've got you on here to talk about this article that you've written for the CCSA magazine, which is called CCSA Today. It's the magazine, if anyone's unfamiliar. And you've been writing this trend flash for a pretty long time, right?
Yes. I can't remember how many years, but it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And does it come out every issue?
Every issue, yes.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing it for every issue, which is 4 issues a year. Mm-hmm. And now another person, Terry Welch, who's a studio owner, is going to be splitting that with me. So you'll get insight from 2 different people, which will be great.
Oh, yeah. That's super fun. Mm-hmm. Nice. And where do you find, not to put you on the spot, but where do you find kind of inspiration for this article?
I go to this website called Amy Y'all.
Yeah. Now you're trying to butter me up, and you're my favorite person.
Trying to get myself a rainbow mug and a Christmas tree. I look at a lot of different places. I go to the gift market every year. That's always a really great inspiration. Magazines, sometimes Pinterest, websites, walking around, in the mall or stores, things like that, seeing what people are doing on Instagram.
I always like to ask that question. And Christine, if you have any like weird places you find inspiration, I'd love to hear it, because my number one spot is like bakeries. They're so similar to us and like what we do. A lot of times they're decorating a cake that's, flat, like a plate, or they've got cookies that are round, like a serving dish or something. And I get a lot of inspiration from like very cool bakeries on Instagram.
I love that. I think cards have a good design ideas too, and gift wrap, things like that.
Oh, gift wrap is good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good idea too. I'm actually more of a newer studio, so we only opened 2019. So I'm still learning all the things. So that's you guys just gave me all this inspiration. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like trying to find what's going to happen is so difficult and so overwhelming. And we have to work so far in advance. Like my girlfriend Elaine laughs at me all the time because I never quite know what month it is, because I've been doing Christmas since September. So it's like, it turned into November and I thought it was December. So I never know where I'm at. I never know what day it is, because we do have to trend forecast like this. So I think this article in the CCSA magazine is super helpful, and we're just going to kind of ask you to run down it a little bit. So
okay,
if you're ready, I think we're ready.
Yeah, awesome. I'm excited.
So first up, there's the Wax Resist. Talk to us about the Wax Resist.
All right. So this article, it's technique trends to try in 2024 is what I was coming up with here. And these are things that we've seen a lot more interest in, all the things that I've covered in the article. So Wax Resist is a product, it's a water-based coating that you put on a piece. You put it on top of a glaze, or you can put it directly on bisque. You can do it either way, actually. I usually do it directly on bisque, but it resists other glaze. So if I want to put my name, say I have a stoneware piece and I want to put my name on it, but I don't want to have to mask it out with paper or paint around it or something, I can put that wax on there, paint my glaze on top, and then wipe off any excess glaze off the wax. The wax just burns away and leaves a nice empty spot.
How long does it take the wax to dry?
Oh, just a couple of seconds. You just need one coat. It dries very quickly. And it's a nice way to add details to something without having to go crazy or masking off a large area. So there's different ways to mask, but I think wax is such an easy way to do it. You can also use it in techniques. So if you want to make, the way with the wax resist works is when you paint it onto a piece, say I've painted it on a white background. I've painted some white foundations and I have a background. I'll do a design and I want to make a snowy scene. Generally, if you are using wax resist, you want to make sure that you wipe off any glaze off the top of the wax, because if you don't, when the piece is fired, that wax burns off and then anything that's on top of the wax falls down onto it. So, but you can use that to your advantage too. So say I want to make a snowy scene, I might leave some of that color on top of the wax and fire it that way and you get this funky design. So there's different
it's like
ways to do that.
texture, right? Like you get an interesting texture.
Yeah, texture is huge right now for sure.
So would it be the same, when I know some studios wax the bottom of their stoneware pieces. Is that the same wax?
Yes, it's the same wax.
Okay.
The point is to keep glaze off of an area, basically.
So it's pretty versatile.
Yeah, it is versatile. You can do it at earthenware. You can do it on stoneware. Super versatile. I think it's fun. It's a fun thing to use. You have to be careful because any place you put it, it's going to stay there till you burn it off.
Oh, sure. Do you ever play with this, Christine?
I have. We use it for the stoneware, and I'm excited to push it a little bit further and do some other techniques and stuff. What's the shelf life of the wax? Are you any to take care of it or anything? Because I think the wax that I had, I remember one of them was we didn't use it enough and it kind of got a little bit hard. So do you have any tips on how to keep that from happening?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer on the exact shelf life, but I do recommend getting the 2-ounce bottles unless you use it a lot. I have a pint jar that I use and I've had it for probably a year and it's still fine, but I keep it tightly sealed. Okay. But that's a plastic container and plastic can breathe. And so I think if you're not going to be using it a lot, I definitely get 2-ounce bottles. And I think once you open it, that's when the process can start to make it dry out a little bit too. Yeah. Tips for use, if you're interested in that.
Always.
To do wax resist, I think the best way to use it is what we call conditioning your brush. And so what I'll do is I'll take a brush and I'll put a little bit of Dawn dish liquid in my fingers and then twist the brush, just kind of apply that onto the hairs of the brush. And then that keeps the wax from gunking up your brush. And so once you've done that, you just smooth it in there. Then you can put your wax resist on and then go immediately wash out your brush.
And you're able to use that brush for glazing after? Or does it need to be a dedicated brush?
I like to keep it dedicated for glaze. Now, some people, you can use our wax resist without conditioning it first, but I just think it's the best practice to go ahead and condition it. It's so easy, protects your brushes. And then the other thing is when you're using wax resist, say you have it on the table and you have a group of people painting, I would take that brush away once they're done using it because you don't want them dipping it into the water where they're rinsing out their other brushes that have glaze because you don't want to get wax mixed in with their color.
Yeah, that's so smart.
It's amazing. I actually saw that trick at convention. And I heard so many people say, this is worth the money of convention because it was mind blowing so I'm very proud. I've actually used that since then. So that's a great advice.
Yeah, good. Especially on stoneware. Some people love to put it at the foot, to keep any wax off the bottom. I do that a lot.
I need to do that because I'm
helpful.
It is helpful. So let's say I have put wax resist somewhere I was not wanting to put it. Mm-hmm. How do I get it off of the place I didn't want to put it?
You put it in the kiln and fire it.
For real?
Oh,
yeah, that's the only way to get wax off. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why you have to be careful.
What if I'm mid-project?
Oh.
Then you have a happy accident and you can do something unique with it.
That's that. You know what? Sometimes that's just the answer is that you done goofed and you can't fix it.
Bob Ross would approve.
Yeah, this is where we're at now.
Nice. And in the magazine, you've done this technique with trees, right?
Yes.
Is that what you did? And then what looks to be a complicated pattern, but it's actually not that complicated because the wax resist has done all the work, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We did white foundations on that project. You can actually find that project on our website. I think it's called Winter Trees. Trace the design onto the foundations, put the wax on the tree areas, and then did a couple of different blues across that and then cleaned off the wax, some of the places, but not every place. So we'd have some blue looking on
kind of drop in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's stunning.
Just great. Just for any newbies, do you mind giving us the website?
Oh, it's maycocolors.com. Mayco colors.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, lots of great project ideas in our library.
Well, I think that leads us to a good segue to Art in a Jar, which is Jungle Gems, if you'd like to discuss those, because the website does have so much. They've done the work for you on the website about like what goes together and some cool combinations. But let's kind of talk about what that is. What are Jungle Gems?
Jungle Gems are, I love that you call them art in a jar, because that's what we think of them as, because you can use them just straight out of the jar, apply 3 coats on a piece, fire it, and you're done, and it looks super cool. So they are glazes that have little chunks or crystals in them that, what we say, bloom in the kiln when they're fired, and they make these beautiful designs. So when I had my studio, I would tell the kids, they burst in the kiln and make all gorgeous
I would
designs.
say
Like,
explode. These explode in the kiln.
Yeah, words you hate to hear in a studio.
Right.
But they're really fun because you can, as I said, put 3 coats. Like we've done that a lot on faceted animals and things. You can layer them together, like put one and then put another one on top to kind of get a different look. You can also use them with stroke and coat to do little accents, or use the Jungle Gems in design. So say you have a design on a stroke and coat and you want this flower to have some crystal speckly things in it, you can do that too. So layering them by themselves in design, they're versatile. They can also be used. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, when you are layering them like that, are you clear glazing them? Are you dipping them before they go into the kiln?
With Jungle Gems, you do not clear glaze them. Generally, as a rule of thumb, things in our product line that come in a jar with a wide mouth, or even a 4-ounce jar, you don't put clear glaze on.
That's a good tip.
Things like foundation.
I love that.
Yeah, it's easy. And then like stroke and coat bottles are tall and skinny and have the skinny little lid. So foundations, they do come in the pint, the wide mouth, even the 4-ounce or the pint. They can be clear glazed, but you don't need to. Yeah. So when you're talking about Jungle Gems, if I'm doing Jungle Gems all over, 3 coats, I'm going to pop it in the kiln and be done. But say I'm doing a design that I want to do a vase and put Jungle Gems on just part of it, I would want to make sure I had 3 coats of stroke and coat, or put my foundations first. Then I can put my Jungle Gems on the parts I want. That way you're not trying to clear glaze around it.
Now, what about food safe?
Jungle Gems should not be used on food surfaces, just because of the texture of the crystals themselves, because that can cause you not be able to clean your ware properly, especially on an earthenware piece.
What about using it on the outside of like a mug? Would that make a difference? That way then the texture doesn't pick up that bacteria? Or would you just say off of a mug at all?
If you did it on a mug, I would just keep it not where your mouth is going to be, or not where on the inside either. Yeah, so you could do a design down low. We've done that before too.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because, you know, when you're in the studio and you're pitching this to a customer, they want to do it exactly how they want to do it. So having a little bit of wiggle room is nice. And when I was in the studio, I would do, you know, we all have this spiel that we give when customers are in there. Here's all the paints and here's what you can do. And when you have those customers that are looking at you like a deer in headlights, then I would bring them over to the Jungle Gems and say, but there's also this, if you're feeling kind of intimidated. And the studio I worked in actually sold those 4-ounce jars as kind of like an upsell opportunity. So that was really successful, especially leading into the Christmas season, which we are kind of firmly in right now when this episode airs. These Jungle Gems on a Christmas tree is just magic.
So simple. And you can do an ombre effect too. If you go on our website into the project library, there are some where we've put stroke and coat down, and then we've done a lighter crystal glaze and then a darker one down at the bottom. And that's really cool. Layering them on top. Some of the Jungle Gems have more of a translucent background, and you can just see that when you look on the website. You can put that on top of a color, so it looks really cool. It kind of changes the look.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ways to use these. And
love that.
If I'm not mistaken, Mayco just released some new colors. Is that right?
Yes, we have 8 new colors. They are so fun. I think my favorite is Berry Tart because it's pink. I love pink stuff. I'm all about pink. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of new ones, and our distributors have those. We also have new bisque shapes that are coming out too. So check your distributors' websites as well.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I love them.
I love the names. I'm looking at berry or blueberry bubblegum. Like, who comes up with these names? And how can I help? Like, I just want to be a part of this process. It is amazing, and they make me laugh. My customers totally think that I'm creative, and I come up with them, and I'm like, I can't even take credit, but it's so
We have
cute.
so much fun making up names. It's like during a new product development meeting, there's a whole bunch of us in there, and we just throw out names. And so the things like Stroke and Coat and Jungle Gems have more fun names, whereas Elements glazes are inspired by nature. So those names always have to be kind of nature inspired, like Azurite or Sahara Sands, things like that. But these are just fun.
There's so much. I love them so much.
It's exciting when you get your first product name. You're like, yay, I named one.
Do you have one off the top of your head that you've named that you're really excited about?
I can't think of it right now.
Of course, I know.
Yes, of course not, because you asked me. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but it's fun. I've named a few.
Nice. Well, is there anything else about the Jungle Gems that you'd want to talk about? We didn't really touch on the Elements Chunkies, which is kind of considered the same kind of thing, right? Because it's a crystal glaze.
Yeah. One thing about Jungle Gems, it's helpful with those because the little crystals are kind of heavy to store them upside down, and that'll kind of help them not get stuck on the bottom. And when you're using Jungle Gems, you can I like to shake it up really well, stir it like with the end of my brush, and then shake it up again to do my application. Some people were trained to do the first 2 coats without mixing it and then do your 3rd coat with all the crystals. Some people like to do it that way. But I like to go ahead and mix it all up. And then I think it's best to pour some onto like a plate or a palette before applying it onto your piece, because that gives you better distribution of the crystals. If you're just dipping into the jar, A, you have a chance of contaminating that with another color, and B, you're not getting a good distribution with your crystals. So it's nice to pour it out onto a palette to use it. So the Elements glazes you mentioned. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, I feel like you just topped the dog birthday party. I did not know that. And that was just amazing information that I don't think my customers always try to dump it out. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to lose the crystals, but they are going to write you a thank you note. So.
Oh, good. Well, here's another tip that'll help. Say you have like a lot of crystals left in the jar and you've used up a lot of the glaze. You can take a foundations glaze and add that into those crystals to make it last longer.
Oh my gosh.
It's the same base, right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right. So pick out the color that looks just like you have and then just add some foundations to it, and that extends the life of your crystals.
My favorite tip with the Jungle Gems is something that I should know by now, 14 years into this industry, but before you close the lid on that jar, to wipe the kind of tread where the lid is, because that's why all mine are drying out, because it's not getting that like tight seal anymore. And it's like, again, I should have known that, but I just needed someone to tell me, and it's made a huge difference.
That's good. It's one of those aha moments, like,
yes.
Or a V8 moment, like, duh.
Right.
Yes.
And just to bring it back to the article for a second, in the article, you've used Jungle Gems on a faceted piece, which is a great way to paint those. I feel like those can be really intimidating just because there's so many different facets, if you will. So that's really nice. And then on the Elements project, you did a layering kind of situation, which there's another way that I like to use Elements. I never just use one right out of the jar. So if you want to talk about Elements for just a second.
Yeah, sure. And leading into going from Jungle Gems to Elements, you can actually use Jungle Gems with Elements. You can layer them on top. It looks really cool. Elements are inspired by nature, and so they're more earthy, organic looking colors. They can be layered. I love using them with Jungle Gems. We also have the Elements Chunkies, which are an Elements base, but with little crystals in them. So they give you a different look. There's also a product called Cascade. There's white and clear, and that acts as a flux. So it makes it move a little bit. Mm-hmm. So if you have a vertical piece and you want to make a little movement going on, you could have a color and put some flux on top of it and another color on top of that. And that gives you some really great movement. So if you do the white, that'll alter the color. But if you do the clear, it won't change the color, but you'll get movement. And it's also pretty on a flat piece, just having that, because it helps you mix the colors together a little bit better.
Yeah, the clear actually are my favorite. I love those.
They're fun, and they just give you a chance to do something different. I think it's a good idea, if you haven't used them, to take like a vase, even like the faceted vase or something tall, and put some tape to do sections, And then you can play with different glaze combinations. There's a ton on our website. And this is a tool that I love. And I hear so many people talk about our glaze combination tool. It's on our homepage, and you go to that and you can you can filter by color, by firing temperature, by product line, and you'll see different color combinations. It's huge for stoneware, but we're constantly adding. Every month we put new products in for jungle gyms and elements too. So you can see how they look fired on top of each other.
It's even a good tool to share on like my social media, and people get to see and they get excited too. And it's great for, as like a studio owner, thank you for doing the work, because our customers are like, oh my gosh, you have this one, I need to come in. And I mean, you've done a great. Even my employees are like, can you order this paint? I saw it on the website. So I appreciate that immensely.
Yeah, sure. Good. We have fun doing it. It's great.
Yeah, I would love, if I were still in a traditional studio, to just monthly, here's the combo of the month, and come in and this is how you do it. And it's always here for you. You don't necessarily have to do it as a class. I think that could be really fun and a way to like drum up some excitement about, getting return customers to do something new every month.
That's a good idea.
Combo of the month. Yeah, I love that too.
Well, if you get on our email list or follow us on social, we share our combos of the month every month. So we share it for the mid-range, which is stoneware, and for low fire. So you can get those, and then you can just take our pictures and use them on your social media.
It's amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking off like one more thing off my, like, it's especially during these holiday season. Like, that's amazing. Thank you. I could send you
to be your partner. Absolutely. We want to help.
Well, we've been kind of product heavy for just a second. Why don't we switch gears and talk about your idea of anything but a brush?
Oh, anything but a brush is really fun. Like the project in the magazine, we used a fork, a plastic fork to create. It's a
wreath for everyone that hasn't seen it yet. I know you're going to look at this after the podcast has come out, but it's a Christmas wreath. It's so cute.
It is. I think it's fun. Like if you're doing things with kids, or you're doing an offsite event, so you don't have to take a whole bunch of brushes somewhere, or if it's a bunch of little kids and they're going to bang the brushes down on the table and kill them. But doing things like a fork, or using Q-tips or bubble wrap or anything like that. It's just, to me, that's just so fun, a different way to glaze, and it saves you money, and it's just keeps it clean. It's just a different way to do things. And it's kind of a way to get kids to be creative too. What can you do with this? How can you do this?
Yeah. And it leans into the idea that, not only are we selling gorgeous pieces of pottery, but we're selling an experience, and this is a new experience that we can have. What would you consider to be your favorite non-brush tool?
I like Q-tips. We just did a project at convention, and we did, for our make and take, we did a Van Gogh looking nights, the Starry Night, and using the Q-tip on there was such an easy way to get tiny little brush strokes. And it's such a fun project, and you could incorporate that into so many different ways, doing dots with it, doing whatever. We actually did a project during COVID when everybody started doing take-home kits. We came up with a project where you would go out and do in the yard and pick up items and use that as your painting piece, like a part of a stick or a leaf or something like that. So doing a collage with found objects, it's the same kind of thing.
That's cool. Christine, do you have a favorite like non-brush tool that you guys use?
Yeah, broccoli.
I love
We did broccoli. We did toddler time, and it was so fun because the kids I'm like, okay guys, we got broccoli, and like you hear, oh no, I don't want that. And I'm like, but we're gonna paint with it. And we dip the top of it for trees. Yeah. And it gives you, like, you can dip it into different paint colors. So it gives you that texture. Like, it's so much fun. And like, it's broccoli. You don't have to eat it. It's great. Kids love it.
That's like my dog party of the day. I love it.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you could share that then.
Yes, right.
I'm like, what other ways can I use my salad to make art? There's got to be something else there. That's so
Julian
cool.
Carrots or something like that.
Yeah. And it's especially when you, if you can look at your healthy foods and turn it into something fun, because then I'm like, well, make sure you guys eat broccoli off of this plate, kind of loop it around so that the parents like at least try to do a little bit of that, to take home.
You took a potato print to the next level for sure.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Again, it's just me in my studio every day. And I don't have anything like crazy that I use, but I'm the number one biggest fan of an eraser dot, like the back of a pencil, using that for all my dots. I just love how consistent it is. But I feel like after the broccoli thing, I can't compete with that.
Next subject, apparently.
Obviously.
I need Mayco to now do every like different vegetables that you can like paint with. So that would be like the next, that would be.
Yeah, I actually
that.
want a stroke and coat color that's kind of like a darker green called Christine's broccoli.
And that would be another moment that I get to help with the name. So this is all coming together. I love this.
So just let Colleen know that we've got another genius idea in the books.
We'd have to call it broccoli around the block or something like that.
Oh, I love that. Done. Sold.
That's cute. That's very cute.
I write that down.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about texture? Like, I think you've used some textiles in the article. You've used paper painting. Like, give us a little bit of that.
Yes. I mean, texture is huge. You see it on, planters everywhere you go. You see macrame is still really big. It just, any kind of texture you can get is wonderful. And the cool thing is you can get that with your ceramic designs by using different tools, basic things like using lace or doilies, any kind of textile like that. I also like using bubble wrap for texture, using jute or yarn. But another thing you can do is taking like French dimensions and do a design on your piece and then go over that with a color. Like, especially like elements glazes are really nice because you get the highs and lows. And then the elements glazes have that natural break in them where the highs and the lows, they look a little different. They kind of pool up where the deeper areas are.
Such a good idea.
Yeah. And so also like the textured shapes are beautiful that way. So we have a lot of different textured shapes, and then creating texture with sgraffito is another way to do it too. But just that can make your designs really, really simple. The texture becomes the centerpiece of the whole design.
Mm-hmm. So with sgraffito, can you give us kind of best practice there? Because, over the years, I've heard such varying advice about how dry the paint needs to be, or like what kind of tool you need to use. Like, what is your preferred sgraffito method?
Sure. I like to have a base color underneath. So maybe, depending on what I'm digging down to, often it might be like a white foundations glaze, and then put a color on top. And I don't want it to be 100% dry because it's just going to crumble off. It's not going to be nice and pretty. So shine's got to be gone, a little bit dry to the touch, but just slightly, you can tell that it's still damp. And I like to use a skewer, like a bamboo skewer, or a toothpick is fine. You can use a sgraffito needle, which is designed for that, but those are sharp. You have to worry about losing them. So I think those are good for doing clay projects, but I like in the studio just bamboo skewers, and scrape lightly. And then when you start to get that, the little things that pop up, just leave them there. Don't try to brush them off while it's still wet, because then that can dig back down into the little places where you're trying to clean out. Once it's dry, you can take like a soft fan brush and knock those off.
That's really smart. And I guess I would have been extra smart as if I would have explained what sgraffito was before I asked you about it.
Yeah. Scratching off.
And Perfect. You can do that.
That's a great way to do texture. Like we've done that on cats and different animals and things to make some fun texture, little lines. It's really cool with black and white or blue and white. I love that look.
And it works on bisqueware. It works on clay. Like you can kind of do it in both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
How many coats do you recommend? I think you're saying it being dry-ish, but like what about how many coats of each color do you lay down just for a total newbie?
Well, if you're just going to be, I think if you're going to be clear glazing it doesn't really matter, but I would at least do, I think 2 coats is helpful just because it gives you better coverage on top. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
That's perfect. Tell me about using cardboard.
Okay.
So we have that all laying around. So what's the best way that we could use something to make a technique off of that?
It's fun to use cardboard because it can give you some different textures. You know how sometimes you have that little edge that's nice and smooth. Other times you have that cool corrugated edge. So you can use that to make design and to make texture. But also we've done some pieces where we'll take the skinny side and dip it into glaze and just add some lines of color. And it's just a different way to create texture. We have a project in the magazine, when you look at that we did bamboo, and we used the cardboard edge to make that. And so that's just a different way to make a design too. Gives you just
now, did you, looking at this project in the magazine, did you mask that panda first, or is the panda painted over the texture? Or am I asking you a question you don't know the answer to?
You're asking me a question I don't know the answer to. I'm going to
Well,
try to guess.
I'm gonna tell you that I think it was maybe masked with some paper.
So too, because he's so not textured behind him.
Okay. Well, that was a trick question, and you passed.
Thank you.
I also like the idea of using cardboard as like a applicator tool. Like I come from the art journaling world, and it is very common practice to kind of squirt a little bit of paint on the page and then take cardboard or take another flat spatula or something and kind of move that paint around to get just interesting movement and like even texture in that way. So that could be really fun. I'm going to try that when I go into the studio this afternoon. I will report back.
Yeah, that's a really good idea to use it as like you would a palette knife or like you would a squeegee or something like that.
Yeah. And squeegee art is so popular these days. I don't know if your Instagram is the same as my algorithm, but I feel like every other video is squeegee art where they're putting down dots and then kind of turning it into something else. So that's really cool.
Yeah. That's a great way to do it.
Let's see what else we got. So we only have a couple left on the list, and it looks like we've got cobblestone and stoneware. Which one would you like to tackle first, Crista?
Well, I know Amy Williams loves cobblestone. Should we talk about that?
I've just been waiting.
Used it.
Christine.
I'm like so excited. I'm so sorry. I'm telling you, I'm using the I am a baby studio, and I that's my excuse right now. But I have never used. I have it, just never used
Christine. It. Cobblestone is your entire personality.
Yeah, it's good to be able to always add something new in your studio, you know? So when you start out, you have basics, then you add new things because people like new things.
And I love cobblestone, so I'm so excited. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is, Crista?
So cobblestone, it creates a textured or cobbled surface, kind of like a cobblestone street, when it's fired. So what you do is you apply that over another glaze, and when it breaks up, the glaze underneath shows through where the breakup is. Kind of like on a cobblestone street, the grout or the dirt or the tar or whatever is in between the bricks on the cobblestone street, that will show up. So it's so fun. You can use it as is. There's black cobblestone. So say I want to do something, this would be a really fun Halloween type thing. Like I might have a lime green color, like sour apple in the background. And then I could put my black cobblestone on top. And then when I fire it, you see the lime green through in between the cobbles, kind of like grout. We also have white. It could be done just basic. Then you can tint the white. So say I have a piece and I've painted it purple, but I really want to add some yellow and orange to it. So I'm going to put some white cobblestone on there. And then once that's dry, not cobbly dry, but dry where you're not going to be mixing the color with the cobblestone. You're going to put one coat of Stroke and Coat or Elements glaze, whichever one you're going to use, on top of that cobblestone. And then that will change the color of the cobblestone. You don't want to mix it with it because that will inhibit the cobbling effect. And you don't want to put more than one coat because then that could also inhibit the cobbling effect. The cobblestone, if you put 3 coats, you get bigger cobbles break up, bigger shapes. So the heavier application, the bigger the cobbles. And it's one of those words you say a bunch of times. If you do it a thinner application, you get smaller breakup. So some of the things, I think Amy's done some really cool things where she'll put it on, and some areas it's heavier, some areas it's lighter, and it looks really cool that way. I've done a dragon like that. That was super cool because he had an ombre effect.
Yeah, I love playing with the size of the cobble, if you will. So, and I already paint what I say for texture. So I'm never doing 3 coats on anything. It's a kind of chaos. And I just love what cobblestone will do in that way. And I actually am probably in the minority. I really like when they're small. I think it's just so interesting what it does. I'm fully obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's fun. And actually in the magazine article, there's a picture, it's layering elements, glazes, and it's on top of, there's cobblestones in that piece. It's a sunflower piece. So we have a foundations background, and then we did cobblestone in the shape of a flower. And then we put elements glaze on top of the white cobblestone. And so you have this broken up cobblestoney look, but with elements glaze colors. So it's really fun.
That's interesting because I guess in my mind, I get very strict about rules that no one has actually ever told me. So I didn't realize you could use elements to tint in that way. Mm-hmm. It's just one coat, like you were saying, with Stroke and Coat.
That's right. And so many Mayco colors, glazes work, they play well together. You know,
Mm-hmm.
our glazes are friends. They like to play together. So
That's amazing.
yeah, they're super
Yeah.
I can't
fun.
wait to try.
I
I
want
can't
you
wait
to
to
try
try
it.
it. I'm going to. Like,
I'm
that's on
gonna
my
make
list
you try
today.
it.
Like, I'm excited.
Okay, good. Report back.
Yes.
In
I
the
will.
show notes, there will be a picture. No, I'm joking.
Can't wait to see.
Nice. Well, I guess we're going to finish with a bang here with stoneware.
Oh,
I
stoneware.
know that you could probably talk about stoneware for a billion years, but kind of give us the elevator pitch of what you talked about in the magazine, which looks like layering.
I love stoneware. It's a great way to add something new to your studio, but keeping it in the kiln. You know, it's people add a lot of different things to their studios, and it's great. It depends on where you are, what works for you. But what makes your studio unique is your kiln. You can't do that anywhere else, you know? And so adding stoneware, it's a beautiful functional piece. There's different shapes. We're adding more. Bisque Imports has some shapes coming out. So there's a lot of different things happening there, but you get this really cool look. And like Elements is the low fire version of stoneware. It gives you that stoneware look, but can be fired at 06, whereas stoneware is fired at cone 6. But the cool thing about it is how the glazes move and how they interact with each other. There are crystal glazes, there are opaques, there's kind of classic looking glazes. They're just fun. And there's it's a great opportunity to have people come in and take a class, and then they can learn how to do it. Then they can come back another day and do it. But people love that different look. It has a higher perceived value. And a lot of men really like the stoneware. It's something different, especially if you haven't done it before or you're not into the more bright, cheerful colors of the traditional, idea of what people think of paint your own pottery sometimes.
And Christine, your studio does a lot of stoneware. Is that right?
Yeah, we love it. It is our biggest thing is you can do something fancy without trying too hard because the glazes are amazing. And you can make it look like you got it from Target without actually, it's homemade. So it's great. We do love it. People love that you can put it in the oven, if the dishwasher, microwave, all that kind of stuff. So we really that's our go-to. And it doesn't take as long to paint another like the other ceramics. So we love it.
Do you do it as a walk-in thing or is it as classes? Walk-in?
We do this walk-in, yeah. We have a little section that it says, this is stoneware, and we have a bunch of different pieces that we can hardly ever keep on the shelf. So it's amazing.
Do you have any issue with maybe someone grabbing stoneware and using I know in Krista's case, like stroke and coat can go to cone 6 and things like that. But do you have any kind of back of the house issues with having stoneware as a walk-in?
We've definitely have people that will go over and they grab the plate and they'll use the regular paint on it, like the stroke and coats. But the problem is that we're really visual. Like we do the after 30 seconds that you sit down, we're like, hey, what's going on over here? And then we'll be like, nope, give that back to us. So we try really hard to make sure that we're on top of that. And we've had some that people have tried to use the stoneware glaze on the the low fire things, and we just call them back and be like, hey, did you have fun painting it the first time? Because you get to do it again. So
I think that's such a great customer service though. I mean, you've got to talk to your customers, and touch points like that make a huge difference, even just when you're not doing stoneware, when you're doing other projects. One thing I can suggest, if you haven't done stoneware, if you guys haven't ever tried it like Christine has, we have Stoneware Camp Basics and Advanced on demand, which you can purchase on our website. And there are videos, about 8 videos per, to give you the basics, everything you need to know about doing stoneware. But with stoneware glazes, one thing that I think is helpful is you can have the pieces out, but have signage about it being, stoneware, and then maybe just have a sample out there so they can see. And then you can grab the piece for them, and you can have the glazes so they can see the samples, but have the jars where they don't actually grab them themselves. And that can be helpful too. I know Lisa Feltz did that way in her studio, and I think it really worked well. There's lots of different ways that people are doing things. Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So let's say one of us here on this call is maybe very heavy handed and maybe has ruined multiple shelves, multiple places. Do you have any advice for just getting it right? You know what I mean? Like, I put on a coat of stoneware glaze that is probably closer to 2 coats, and I can't seem to break that habit, like, do you have any advice for me? Is it just simply I'm loading my brush up to full and trying to go with that?
Well, I think, everybody, even the designers at Mayco, we have so many different designers that are skilled in a variety of things. So basically, if you can fire it, we can talk about it. So like one of our designers, Todd, he's super heavy handed. And so 2 coats to Todd is like, 4 for me. It's just, he just applies that heavily. But I think educating yourselves on what the glazes do. So read the label and it will say how many coats. It'll say how much it moves. Also, it says that on the website for every color. You can go and look and it'll say if it's highly fluid or if it's more stable. Also, this is a really helpful too. In the resources and literature area of our website, there's a little brochure called Using Mayco Stoneware Glazes. In the back of that, it has every single glaze that we make. And if it moves, if it breaks, how much it moves, all that. Really, really helpful. So that kind of stuff. And then when you're layering glazes that do move, you have to be careful about how many coats you put and then receive the glazes too. Because I've done that too. There's a beautiful pink that I love. And if I put it too low, it will fall down to the shelf.
Is it pink quartz?
Yes.
Yes. This is me speaking from experience. Can you quickly, in a sentence or two, explain what recede the glazes mean, just for those of us that are...
Yes, receding the glazes, and this is a good tip for using crystal glazes too, if you're using it on the outside of a piece. So the first coat, you can go all the way down, to the bottom part, not the very bottom on stoneware. You don't paint the bottom of stoneware. And then the second one, I would say come up like 2 fingers from the bottom of the piece. And then if you are doing a third one, you would come up maybe 3 fingers. But with stoneware, you don't have to go that far down because it does move so much.
That's a good tip. I'm going to practice more. I just, I love to slap glaze on pieces and sometimes stoneware is not a fan of that. So that's
just slap it higher up.
There you go. I mean, I've tried that too, and it's still ruined.
Well, maybe Christine, you may have some tips for that because you're offering it in your studio. Do you deal with that with your customers?
Getting too low?
Yes, or just putting too much paint on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have any tips, not at all. We just we definitely have. No, it's just that we just kind of deal with we have we have one the advancer shut the thick ones that we kind of anytime that there's a really you can tell that they put a lot of paint on there. We use that shelf, so we make sure that we kind of protect that a little bit, but we really don't have any way to fix that. We just kind of look over their shoulder and be like, okay, we're good. I think we should take that brush from you in a kind way. But personally...
You need to come look over my shoulder at the studio then, because I need a Christine.
I will use the cobblestone. You can do the stoneware. We'll paint together.
That sounds so fun. Krista, you're also invited.
I'll be there.
Perfect. The stoneware is actually, I have to tell you, the only piece, I obviously, we paint samples, we put them on the shelves, but the only piece that I have of ceramics at my house is my stoneware mugs. Oh. The wavy mugs are my favorite ones, and that's my go-to, and it is the only one that has ever made it to my house. And I have multiples because I'm that person that leaves tea mugs everywhere, and I can't find them, so.
Can I tell y'all a secret?
Yeah.
I love to bring home things that I've painted. And this could be in my own studio or maybe at a convention or something. And especially if it's a mug. And I'll finish my cup of coffee and then I'll just throw the mug away. And I've done it in front of people before and they're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm tired of it. I don't
You should donate them, girl."
I know, but sometimes the ones that make it home for me are damaged in some way. So I'm like, I may as well just let the earth reclaim this. I'm going to get canceled now. Maybe we'll have to cut that out, but that's okay.
Yeah.
At least you gave it a little life with one cup of coffee.
There you go. It's had more than one, I promise. I just don't always want to load the dishwasher. Well, on that note, Krista, is there anything else that you would like to say about your article in the CCSA magazine?
A lot of good ideas in here. And I talked about the cobblestones in the elements, but there's also in the article, you'll see one that shows the black and white cobblestones. I forgot we had the black and white zebra cobblestone project in that article, but I would check it out. Technique Trends to Try in 2024. If you don't have the print edition, You can get it on CCSA's website and check out all the articles. But I loved being here, and I love getting to talk about the Mayco products because I love them. And there's tons of information on our website. If you ever have questions, like, just contact me directly, because, we want to get you the right answers. We have all the experts, and we want to help you guys be successful with our stuff.
Perfectly said. Well, Christine, anything else from you?
I am just looking forward to, is it the Mayco camp is it
Pottery camp?
Yeah, I am so excited. So I will bring my cobblestone project or pictures of it, but I look forward to learning so much. Like I said, I started in 2019, 6 months old, COVID hit, and I am just so appreciative of the information that Mayco provides, because it is, when we have those moments of we're like, we don't know what we're doing. You guys really have done a wonderful job. So I thank you for your knowledge and the willing to share it with me. So, do you have any other events scheduled since that one, I know that it was sold out, pretty quickly because you guys are so amazing. Is there anything else that is coming up?
Nothing to be announced right now. We have a lot of things in the books, things we're thinking about, but nothing that's out there just yet to sign up for. But to be in the know of all such things, sign up for our email. You can do that through our Facebook page. You can email me. You can go on our website and request to be added. And then follow us on social media on Instagram and Facebook.
And Mayco does a lot of free events, virtual events, like with artists like Lindsay Marr and others out there. And that's always a really valuable thing to jump into and learn about. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah, and if you've missed any of those, we actually have those on our YouTube channel. We'll edit them down. And so we just did one the other night with Lindsay Marr, a really fun project. And so you can check that out on our YouTube channel, just Mayco Colors.
Wow, I did not know that. That's so valuable.
Good stuff. Lots of good videos and things in there.
Nice. Well, Crista Toler, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We had
Thanks for
a delight.
Me.
Crista, if you didn't know, is the studio Crista is the studio market manager at Mayco. To learn more about Mayco products, you can visit maycocolors.com. And to read Krista's article and the rest of the issue of CCSA Today magazine, you can become a CCSA member at ccsaonline.com. Krista, let's go get margaritas. Christine, are you down? I know it's only 11 a.m.
I'm for it. Right? I'm excited. There's so much information. I can't wait to put it to use. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll have to meet in the middle somewhere, but I'm sure it's possible. Mayco will let you off for the day. You can close the store. It'll be great.
Yeah, you're in, boss. That's right. Well, thanks for having me. It was fun. You guys were so much fun to speak with.
See ya.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Christine Steele. Intro and outro music by Scott Lester. Executive production by Louise Blazucki. Learn more about the CCSA at ccsaonline.com.